Good YouTube, welcome back to another episode with Just the Draytons. I'm your boy Ron, it's my lovely, beautiful wife.
Giselle.
And we back with another video. But today we're gonna switch it up a little bit. Wanted to check out this video by Melissa Ford. She's from the Joe Budden podcast. And what I'm getting from the title is that she's gonna be discussing what she did in her past life, which caused her to be where she at now, which is a cat lady that's single, unmarried, no kids. And we kind of want to compare it to the things we was doing at our younger ages, and just to see what we can learn or what anybody else can learn from this video, to basically see what actions not to take or what actions to take if you want to intentionally be married one day and have kids, or not be married and have one kids. Because obviously she did certain things that led her to where she's at now, and we did certain things that led us to where we at now.
Yeah, I don't really know much about the video, so I'm gonna just sit back and I'm gonna watch it. Like he said, hopefully we can learn, or maybe just compare to her story and see, if we went down, because we probably went down her path, but at some point she probably diverged to somewhere. So yeah. I'm just gonna react to the video and see how it goes.
All right, let's go.
Consider this episode a safe space. I really want to have a heart-to-heart about certain lifestyle choices that I've made. We've all seen the most recent political climate as it relates to the election, and it seems like women, we always seem to be the brunt of some kind of attack, and I don't really understand why. But when J.D. Vance said this,
saying is that we're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made, and so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. And it's just a basic fact. You look at Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, the entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children. And how does it make any sense that we've turned our country over to people who don't really have a direct stake in it?
At first I was offended. And then when I thought about it, I really just had to laugh. Because never been married, childless cat ladies. Honestly, that sounds like a dream come true to me. I don't know. Like solitude, my own choices, and animals that love me. Oh my God, somebody, call the cops. This sounds awful. But anyways, I know that I'm not the only one that felt that their life choices were put under attack. So this episode is called I am 48, I am child free, and I've never been married. And guess what? That's okay. I never made it down the aisle, but I have been engaged in the past. How many engagements? I would say 2.5. Let's start with the 0.5, since that was the first one. I was involved with a man who loved me. He was good looking, he was tall, he was charismatic, gregarious. Everybody loved him. My mom loved him, my sister loved him, my niece loved him, my friends loved him, everybody loved him. But there was something inside of me that just said, this is not perfect. It's the furthest thing from perfect. He would say things like, nobody's ever going to love you the way that I love you. And I believed him. I wrestled with this internal sense of guilt. I wrestled with the guilt of honestly wanting to be free, honestly wanting to live my life and to date and to experience other men and to experience other things and other places. I just wanted to live my life. I had moved to New York from Toronto, a totally different country, with $25, 2 suitcases, and a one-way ticket. I didn't have permission from my country to leave. I didn't have permission from this country to be here, and I was making things happen for myself at a very, very rapid pace. And so to find myself inside of a relationship that felt so stifling at this very young age, and not having the vocabulary to speak up for myself and articulate that somebody who loves you would not say those things to you. They wouldn't say, that nobody will ever love you the way that I love you, because that indicates that there's a part of me that's broken, or there's a part of me that's unlovable. But I didn't know how to articulate this. So I stayed in this relationship that I was wildly unhappy in for approximately 3.5 years, close to four. And I have to admit, I was not faithful in this relationship. Nothing that I'm proud of, but I just chalk that up to I was really, really young, and I was hood famous. I was on the covers of magazines, on your local newsstand, so everybody recognized me, and that was another source of pressure that I felt being inside of this relationship rather than being free to explore all of my options. And so one day I was going through some drawers, folding laundry, placing clothes, in the drawers and such, and I found it. I found a box, and when I saw it, I said, "Please, God, don't let this be what I think it is." And I opened the box, and there it was. It was a ring, and the only thing that I could think was that it was an engagement ring. It sure as hell was not a promise ring.
Okay. The only thing that's upsetting me so far, she's not mentioning why she stayed in the relationship. And this is where, we got to continue to watch the whole video, but there's always two sides to the coin. What was your benefits with staying in this relationship? Because if you was unhappy all this time, why did you wait so long to get out of the relationship? Plus, you also said you was hood famous. So clearly, you took pride and admired what the outside world thought of you, because you was proud to be in front of magazines. You was proud to be in the limelight, this and that. But at the same time, you stayed in this relationship. So my question is just, what was she getting out of it that caused her to stay in this relationship so long and then also be unfaithful? And see, this is what bothers me, because then males too, then they always go back to, I was young, this is why I did that. But at the end of the day, like, when you gonna hold yourself accountable for what you did? Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, how you feel so
I
far?
think this is her holding herself accountable. I think just being transparent now in this episode is holding herself accountable. But I think also I could relate with being young and being in a relationship and having been told like nobody's gonna love you the way I love you, and her feeling like it's like a sense of like, what about me is gonna make nobody else love me but you love me. So I think that she was, I have to say, I guess women always go to age, but one, she was young, and two, I would say she was broken, but she didn't know in what aspect. As to why she stayed in a relationship that long, 3-4 years, that's crazy. Enough for him to even contemplate proposing to her and being married to her. Clearly you were showing him different signs, because even though you were internally saying, oh, this is not it, you clearly stayed, and you were showing him signs that you wanted more. So, I don't get that part of it, but as far as like accountability, I think this is her being accountable.
And so far, now she wasted about 3 or 4 years of her life trying to find something serious. Because like my wife said, you had to be doing something to showing this man something for him still want to propose to you and want to marry you. So right there, I would just say, if you're not serious, even if you're young, if you're not serious and you don't see a long-term relationship with somebody, I know people use this young, this and that, but we got together when I was 23 and she was 19. We've been together ever since. About to hit a decade. When I was 23, I knew what I wanted. After a while we was dating, I already knew. I still took time to propose, but I already knew I could see myself with her for years to come, and I could see myself, and I could also see her being the mother of my kids one day, which also became true. With her situation, I guess she didn't see it, but she still played along like she wanted to. So I would just say, if you're not sure, especially if you start cheating, then just end it and just leave it. So now I'm curious on what's about to happen next, because now it's like she found this ring, but now it's like, now how you gonna react to it? You got anything else you wanna?
No.
Good.
Right. We were way beyond that. We were not in high school. I was not wearing this boy's varsity jacket. This was an engagement ring. And if I knew this man the way that I knew him, that proposal was going to be very public. And that terrified me. I didn't want to have to say no in front of our friends and family and publicly humiliate him. He did not deserve that, but I also could not see myself saying yes in front of everybody just to save face, and then later on have to break it to him like that this is not something that I was going to be able to go forward with. So what I did instead was I packed up all my belongings while he was out of town and put them in storage and flew back to Canada.
What?
And then I had the conversation about us breaking up over the phone. I know what you're probably thinking as well. Yo, Melissa, that's fucked up. I know. It took years for me to make peace with this decision. I have self-flagellated over this decision. I have beaten myself up every way to Sunday that you possibly can. I tried to reconcile with him at one point, which was a big mistake. That is the 0.5.
An ugly duckling phase. Don't tell anybody. I destroyed all the pictures, so there's no proof. Before I became a video model and a model, and I was like known as the brain amongst all my friends. You know, so I was studying forensic psychology with a minor in English literature in university. So the fact that I started to become known more for my looks than my brain is kind of ironic. The attention just snowballed, and I started to see that I was able to, you know, make a business out of it. If it didn't make money, it didn't make sense.
Society places an enormous amount of pressure on us to check certain boxes. The box of go to school and excel. You've got to pursue a career based on what you went to school for. And you've got to excel and become successful, and you have to have your 3-year, 5-year, 10-year, 15-year, 20-year plan, all while you're in your 20s. Get married, get the white picket fence, and have 2.3 kids. Never figured out the point situation when it came to the statistics, because like, what's a third of a kid? But I digress on that. The problem with the boxes is that we never check in with ourselves. It is never, ever, ever our first thought as to, well, what is it that I actually want? I am now, you know, welcoming into my circle a lot of women who checked all those boxes. And for all intents and purposes, a lot of the stuff really actually did not work out. Yes, they ended up with the children, but they ended up in sometimes a loveless, sometimes an abusive, and sometimes a marriage of convenience. Sometimes they didn't even get the marriage, they just got the kids, and they inherited a whole lot of struggle and strife.
But now I feel like she's just saying all these things to validate the decision that she made in life, to say that, well, look at what I dodged. You know what I'm saying? But by you saying that, and this what gets me mad, there's still a lot of successful relationships that's out there, a lot of happy relationships out there. So why are we just going over the negative sides of certain relationships? Because right now, by you saying that, it validates the choices that you made in life and that you got to live with alone, with no partner, and a cat. I mean, but if she says she's fine with that, me personally, I don't believe her. I feel like I'm not a female, but there's one thing that y'all can do that men can't do, and that's give life to a child. And God says that's one of the greatest things you can do for a man. So I'm also looking at that's one of the greatest thing a woman can do with herself. And don't get me wrong, I understand there's certain women that don't have that control. But I personally feel like there has to be some type of void that's missing when a female doesn't have a child. Some women will admit that, some women don't. Now, actually, as a female, do you feel like there is a void missing if you didn't have any there would be a void missing inside you if you didn't have any kids?
Um, I'm first hand. I'm thinking yes, just because I always wanted a family. Now, if there are some women who know they definitely don't want kids, and for those women, I really don't think there's a void. There are some days, of course, as mothers, whoever's a mother out there watching, that you have your kids and you're just like, where would my life be if I didn't have them? But in the end, having them brought me joy, right? Because that's what I wanted. I wanted to be married. I wanted a family. I wanted children. So there would have been a void for me. I know personally that there are some women out there that are just like, no, I don't want kids, and I'm cool with that. And they really stick to it and they don't have children. When it comes to her, I think listening so far, I feel like she was like famous, what, like in the 80s, 90s?
Something like she's
and
48.
and so like she was probably a video vixen. She was
90,
light skinned. She had probably all the assets, or bought all the assets she needed.
Yeah,
I feel like
she had the limelight.
right, she had the limelight, and because of that, she was feeling herself.
Exactly.
But now what happens is when you get older and you're 48, she don't look as good as she looked back in the videos she's showing. So it's like now you have to sit with yourself. And you have to be like, okay, what did I do? And I feel like that's why she made this video, to really examine where she went wrong in her relationship. She's saying she's content with the decisions she's made, but I really don't think so if she's taking a time out to sit down and talk about or reflect on all the decisions she's made. So, I mean, I feel bad for her in a way, because you don't have your looks like you used to, and now it's like you just have your cat.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And that's what scared me with young women nowadays with OnlyFans and this and that, because it's like,
Looks don't live forever.
it's like, yeah, looks don't stay there forever.
Always a hotter chick coming out.
And I think you also got to realize, I think a lot of people not realizing there's something called a soul that you have to live with for the rest of your life. And your soul is what's inside of you. And you might be thinking the stuff you're doing now is fine, and you living life, you making money, but down the line you're gonna have to deal with those things. And like there's certain young females now that's older that had that type of limelight that come out now and they talk about how they regret those decisions they made, how it messed up relationships with their families, this and that. And it's just it's just like a lot of these young ladies still not learning from it. But you just always got to remember, you have a soul, and you always got to live with the decisions you made. And real quick, I want to go back to what you said about, what I said about how if a woman is missing a void. Me personally, when I didn't have any kids myself and people would ask me, I always felt kind of low and down about myself whenever I said no, like something was missing. I'll be honest. And I also feel like when I speak to other men that don't have kids, and they do the same thing like certain women do. Yeah, I don't want no kids, this and that. You feel like, do you really mean that? Especially as a man with ego, we have big egos, pride, this and that. What man wouldn't be proud to say they have a child or have a little one? That, like, to me, that was one of my proudest moments when I had kids. So. And that's the only way we could keep civilization going. But I understand less people having kids and this and that, and they think that's best for the world. But I don't think so.
And it's not to say that their choices are better or worse than the choices that I made.
Oh, okay.
These are just choices. But for us women, I feel like our choices oftentimes have never really, really belonged to us. And when we have tried to exert our sense of independence, we are shamed for it. At this point, let me go on to the second engagement. So I'm 28 years old, and I have left the previous relationship, the 0.5, and I have met this man who, the minute I saw him,
the mood music that they put on, like they on point with the sounds and the music, because like
the production,
the production.
Yeah, now the production is good. This is good.
I had to laugh. This is good though.
I knew I was going to be with him. He just was it. I don't know how to describe it. And the second I heard his voice, I said, I'm going to marry this man. I don't know what it was. Like, he had this Louisiana drawl. It's my favorite Southern accent. He was huge, like 6'1", 246 pounds of hulking muscle. He had skin the color of like red clay. He had this thick neck, big round head. He had this crooked tooth that drove me wild. His flaws were like manna from heaven for me. And I loved his dirty draws, and I could just sleep in his armpit right after he played a game of like pickup basketball. That is how much I loved this man. And our courtship was a whirlwind.
I do agree with that. If your female could lay up under you after you just finished playing ball, or she rock with you. We won't get personal, but I do agree with that. Like, a female rock with you, if she do you agree with that?
Yes.
Say it louder.
Yes, I agree with it.
He wined and dined me. He bought me lovely, lovely gifts. I'd wake up to those baby blue Tiffany boxes just laid on the pillow right next to me. We could go to my favorite store, and as long as I put on a little fashion show for him, everything I wanted I could get. But when I say that the gifts really mattered nothing to me, it was this man. He was the gift to me. That's just a fact. And we were 6 months into our relationship when the first sign of trouble appeared. I was in Denver for All-Star Weekend, and I was working for BET at the time, so I had a lot of responsibilities. I had to make a lot of appearances, I had to interview a lot of people, and a lot of those people were athletes. And he was back home. And I did not know that he was jealous. It didn't even cross my mind. And so when I got home after an event and I was perturbed by, an interaction with a strange man at a party that I had been at, he'd said something vile to me and it hurt my feelings. And all I wanted was to be comforted. And so I went back to my hotel room and I called my boyfriend and I just asked him to just tell me that he thought that I was beautiful and that he loved me. And he didn't do that. He just pressured me to tell him what happened. Why are you asking me to do this? And why would I want to date such a weak bitch that would be that offended by what some strange guy has to say to her? There's just no way that he just said that to me.
Right.
I'm sorry, what? And he said, you heard me. And I said, I'm really confused right now. And he was like, I'm sure you are. I felt like I was talking to a stranger. There's no way that this was the person that I had just spent the last 6 months with, completely absorbed with, and in the throes of like love and ecstasy with. And I said, I'm glad that I'm finding out who you really actually are now rather than later. He said, yeah, I'm sure you are. Click. And hung up the phone on me. I cried myself to sleep that night. And the next day I had to cover a ladies' luncheon, the wives of the NBA.
I wanna digest on that. Again, we only hearing her side of the story. I want to know if he actually wanted her to even go to this event. Now, if I go back to our beginning days of our relationship, you always know how I felt. Long distance relationships rarely work. And then two, if you was involved in a business, vice versa, if I was, to where, especially in the beginning of our relationship, because I think she said it was like 6 months in, and it constantly involved us like traveling, and then now especially with her, she's in the limelight, she's around other men, high value men. You know, she said she's at the NBA All-Star game. I don't think no man or woman, if it was vice versa, I'm around a whole bunch of high value women, I gotta work around them. I don't think that helps with the significant other feeling secured about their relationship. And I know then it goes to, oh, you're insecure, this and that. No, but as men, we just like very protective. So now she went to that event and she got her feelings hurt. It was very wrong how he responded to that.
Right.
But now it just makes me think, was he trying to avoid her from going into a situation like that?
Okay.
Because as a man, yeah, I trust you, but I'm still never going to put you in a situation to where you're going to be around a whole bunch of men. And now I got to worry about them talking. And it's vice versa. Because it's like, you trust me, but would you want me around a whole bunch of females? And you say this all the time in certain situations like, oh, you don't trust her. We done that. Like, I don't know. Just be careful with that person, this and that. And I feel like when you dating intentionally, the relationship should be just as important as a career, I feel like. And that's why I feel like a lot of people messing up now and why relationships are not being successful, because so many people are about self. Instead of trying to find a way, like if you really rock with this person, let's try to find a way to make this work together, but still at the same time, we're still investing in this relationship. I feel like a lot of people lack investing in their own relationships, as if relationships need to take a back burner to careers or to other things. Like when they say when it comes to relationship, your wife, your husband come first. Mm-hmm. Why not act like that even before you're married to show signs that you are ready for marriage?
I think in her situation back in the day, probably it was kind of harder to let go, or once you got an opportunity, you really had to salvage it. So before she met this guy, she was already in the limelight, and it seems like she was already doing like PR and all this stuff. Like she was in front of the camera. So I think to probably turn it down at the time probably could have jeopardized her career, because it's not like today where you like there's multiple means and ways to like, if this don't work out, I could do this, or vice versa. So I feel like for her at that time, probably, putting her relationship above career was probably more detrimental, as like, because for the fact that I said, but like today, if it was for today, I would understand what you're saying about like proving to your partner that, okay, like I'm intentionally dating you to get married. Maybe I won't take that movie role that has a sex scene because you may get offended. Exactly. And so like, but back in the day, probably it wasn't the same, and that's why. But I do believe in if you're intentionally dating to get married, you should show your partner, not saying give up your career, but also understand and learn how to compromise to where it's like, okay, maybe I don't have to go to the All-Star game and be in these NBA players' faces. Maybe I can do something else to show him that I'm intentionally dating him, or I'm looking to get married. But just being a woman, even if I was to take that opportunity and somebody said something disrespectful to me, and I call you and I'm like, can you just please tell me I'm beautiful and I'm pretty? It sounds bad because, one, I can kind of understand like why he would want to know the backstory without just saying you're beautiful and pretty, because I understand he would be like, but why would you want me to tell you that? Like, you were fine when you left.
Yeah,
like, why do you need affirmation? Yeah. So I kind of understand him on that side. But the fact that he said he doesn't want to deal with a weak BITCH is kind of disrespectful. So
Yeah, and that's why I feel like there's more to the situation.
right.
But so far with her, I could see why she ended where she at. She clearly loved the attention she was receiving. She clearly loved the opportunity she was getting, and most of the time, men are not gonna that want to get married, that has a mother in their life, is not gonna want to marry a woman like her. I know she's gonna hit us with she was proposed, but her actions, like as a man, like let's be real, you in the crib, you chilling, you just came home from work, this and that, and your lady out in All Star Weekend. Yeah, she worked, but she in All Star Weekend with a hope. Come on.
That's
Come
where
on.
men have to learn how to respect what their lady is doing. Like, and you have to trust that lady too.
Yeah, like he should never got what, like if it was gonna bother him, he should never got
Right,
with her.
you
This
should-
had to be this had to bother him. This is
Yeah.
gonna bother any man. I don't care what nobody says.
And I feel like maybe he was giving her all them gifts and showering her with all them gifts because he was probably trying to pull her out of that life. Because I know a lot of men will be like, "Oh, I'll spoil you. I'll take care of you. You don't got to do that. You don't got to do that," to kind of hide them away from the limelight or the attention. But clearly, she wasn't falling for that, and she was like, "No, I'm gonna stick by my career, and I want you at the same time. I want my cake and I want to eat it too." But it didn't work out for her because
And I'm understanding more and more now, like what J. Cole said, she don't want to be saved, don't save her. Like, no, I'm not calling her the whole. No. But meaning that stop trying to change women. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what men got to get better at. Like, she's showing the signs, letting you know what she want. So in a way, it's like, yeah, she should be the one to also say, I can't do this relationship. But as a man, you should be able to have pride for yourself and step back, like, you know what, this not gonna be for me. Because now what I feel like happened, it was all stuff built in. Yeah. And he reacted emotionally. Yeah. And I was like, nah, what you talking about? What the F happened? This and that. You were weak. It had to be more to that story. Yeah. It wasn't just that. It had to be other stories. It had to be other nights where he home and she on some, yeah, I'm at a bar working. Because then that's another thing. She could come up with all these excuses saying, yeah, I'm working. I'm doing this. Late night, around a whole bunch of dudes drinking this. Come on, it's messy. It's messy. To me, it's messy. It's messy.
And so I had to be perfect and pretty. And I had to act like the man of my dreams had not just told me to basically go F myself. And so while I was getting ready, a large bouquet of flowers was delivered. My makeup artist said, "Mel, you should read the card." And it said, "You're beautiful to me and I love you. And I'm sorry." And then his name. I burst into tears. It just flew out of my face. So basically my whole beat face just melted. And I called him and I said, "I received your flowers." And he said, "I am so sorry." And I told him, "I'm going to forgive you because I love you. But you can't ever speak to me like that ever again." He's like, "I promise I won't." So whenever people wonder, how do people end up in abusive relationships and why do you stay? The reasons are plenty, but I will start by saying that is not the way that it begins. It begins with love bombing. Mm-hmm. It begins with flowers, mm-hmm. candy, gifts, and the wonderful sex, and the cuddles, and the pillow talk. And this is how it begins. Mm-hmm. And it can last for a lengthy amount of time before that person really shows up. The true version of themselves shows up. And by that point, you start to bargain with yourself. And they start to apologize. And their apologies are usually very, very sincere. Because at the end of the day, I truly believe that they believe their apologies are real. They just have an illness inside of them. And I would also venture to say that the first signs of abuse are usually not physical. And by the time it gets to physicality, you start to reason that you were an active participant in it. You start to reason with yourself that you started the fight by angering him or saying something that was out of pocket. Or you reason with yourself that you are no shrinking violet. So it's not like you got hit and cowered in a corner. You fought back. These are the things that you reason and bargain with yourself that allow you to stay in this level of toxic relationship. And so, as much as I would love to say that that was the last time that he spoke to me in that way, and that was the last time that I received it, that would not be the truth. We were together for another year and a half, and I accepted his marriage proposal. And a lot of you would probably be asking, why would you do that? Why would you accept the marriage proposal of this man that was so abusive towards you and unfaithful towards you and really bad at it? Like, I found out everything all the time, and I don't really have an excuse for it other than I was addicted to him. I was working at BET at the time when we were dating, and more than once observations were made about bruises on my body and how skinny I was getting. And people had voiced concern for me.
And this is where people gotta do better too. I know people be young, people be in love, this and that, but when you see signs of toxicity, I hope I'm saying it right. People got to get better at learning how to leave these relationships, because it's not doing anything for you. And like she kind of said, it only gets worse. It only gets worse because now the goal line is getting pushed further and further and further away. Yelling at the top of your lungs at each other in a relationship is not healthy. Fighting in a relationship is not healthy. Not trusting each other in a relationship is not healthy. Not setting boundaries and respecting each other's boundaries is not healthy. And I'm glad she was right about the fact people asking her, why would you marry this person? And this is where I go back. I hope she is taking some accountability, because she had people in her ear telling her. So it's not like she wasn't aware. She was aware herself because she was going through it, but she still decided to stick with this man for another year and a half or two, to now what's wasted of her life to try to find real love and happiness, if that's what she really wants. And she stuck by it. I don't know why. I don't understand. She's now like 28, 29. So you're not at the 18, 19, 20 phase on some, you could use the young and dumb. So now you lived through some things. And it's like, so why did you take that long until you realized this wasn't it? I just hope like she's taking some accountability for that, because nobody forced her to stay, and she even had people in here telling her she need to leave.
In some sense, I feel like she loved the toxicity of the relationship. And because you can't tell me that you had this perfect guy, or maybe not perfect to you, but perfect to everyone else, who everyone thought you were a perfect fit for. But for some reason, you didn't feel it within yourself, and you completely ghosted him. And then you
two separate guys.
No, I know. And then you found,
My bad, sorry.
and then you found what you thought was your Prince Charming, and it turned out to be a DV relationship. But you accepted his proposal, saying to yourself that this is somebody I still want to marry, even though they treat me like crap.
Yep.
And just being a DV victim for her, like the signs of, like she said, it doesn't always start off violent, and then you know, it's the little things of them calling you, like they just say little things in your ear, and it slowly builds and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But a year and a half is more than enough time. is more than enough time to know that this is somebody like I don't want to marry unless you had your own intentions behind it as to why you stayed in it.
Yep.
Because toxicity, it's not healthy. And then to know that you are willing to marry the toxicity is even more scary, as if like what were your intentions of being in it. So
But I just shooed them away. We tussled. It's fine. No problem.
mm-hmm.
But there really was a reason for concern. I stayed through it all and accepted the marriage proposal. The final straw for me was his reaction to finding out that my mom was ill. I had gotten a phone call while I was out with him and his family, and he was acting up as per usual. And I got a phone call from my aunt telling me that my mom had been rushed to the hospital. I was in Texas. So in order for me to rush home to see my mom, I would have to leave Texas, go home to New York, pick up my passport, and then go to Canada. And when I told him what was going on, obviously I was looking for empathy and sympathy and compassion, and that was not what I got. It was on this day that I finally could see the forest for the trees. If I stayed in this relationship, in 10 years, I would have that white picket fence. Mm-hmm. And I would have the 2 kids. And I would be an abused woman, hiding her bruises and her broken bones and her scars from her family and her friends and society at large, because I was a forward-facing media personality / model. My mom's sickness was, strangely enough, a blessing in disguise. And that relationship came to an end. And that was the first full engagement. So 1.5. So that's where we are right now.
Any advice, any people out there trying to make it, any advice you have to give them? I know it's a hard struggle. Understand that there's no shortcuts and there's a lot of sacrifices involved in this game that nobody will ever tell you. That you're asking for a lot when you want to become, as visible as, some people on this carpet. The right way. Exactly. The right way. Just be careful. Be careful what you wish for.
When I was 20 years old, I had this boyfriend. His name was Tony Smith. I can say his name because, you could throw a rock and hit a Tony Smith. It may as well be like John Doe. He was from Greensboro, North Carolina. And he had come up to Toronto to play for the Toronto Argos, which is a football team in the Canadian Football League. And he had played in the National Football League, the NFL, for many years. And a lot of NFL players, when they're not ready to hang up their cleats, and not ready to kind of be put out to pasture, they'll come to the CFL. And so I met Tony at this festival called Caravana in Toronto. He was so beautiful. My God, instant attraction, obviously. And we started dating. We genuinely liked each other. We liked each other to the point where we could say really, really offhand things to each other. For example, he asked me what my fantasy was. And I got this look on my face. And I said, well, a fantasy would be, I guess, a menage with me and you and somebody else. And he was like, another woman? I said, no, with another guy. And he was like, really? He was like, do you have an idea as to who this guy is? I said, yeah. He's like, really? You have to tell me. I said, it's your best friend. And I expected him to maybe slap me, I don't know what. But he threw his head back and roared with laughter. And I was like, wow, that was not the response I was expecting. And he said, do you want me to make that happen? I was like, oh my God, that is so sweet. No, absolutely not. It is just a fantasy. It is meant to stay there. But just the fact that you were open to it, and don't make me feel shame for feeling this way. He was like, why would I make you feel that way? And Tony, I don't know. He maybe he was just an anomaly, but wherever we would go, no matter how scantily I was dressed, he would let me move around the party as I felt the need to and interact with anybody. And he would just sit there and just watch me with a smile. And at one point, somebody stood next to him and asked him, like, aren't you afraid to let her walk around like that? And he was like, absolutely not. She's going home with me. I don't have anything to be worried about. And you want to know something? He was absolutely right. His level of confidence and knowing that I had eyes for nobody but him was what made him so much more sexy to me, so much more attractive, and made me like and love him so much more. I wish that I could say that the vast majority of my relationships went like this.
So what happened to this Tony Smith, and why are you not married to him, and why is he not your husband for 28 years? Like, if he was just this confident and he just exuded this confidence and he just embraced you for who you are, and he just loved that you walked around the parties half naked and that you wanted to have a threesome with his best friend, and he just thought you was it, where's the ring?
Exactly. I didn't want to stop the video, but again, we gonna base off her actions. Something not adding up right. But like my wife said, if he was just that most confident guy, and I'm gonna tell you off rip, he's not a confident guy. If it's with a female and he's gonna say, yeah, you can fuck me and my best friend, he's not a confident dude at all. No real man, it's in your DNA, is going to allow the woman he's with to sleep with another man, let alone his best friend with him. And now his best friend got something over it. Are you serious right now? This is when I start getting tight, because people be lying or something's not adding up right. And then now the fact that you saying that made him look sexy to you, which is another lie, because then, like my wife said, you will be with him. I hope the guy, we not jumping the gun, pray to God he's still alive. I don't know, maybe it's something like that, but still, for you to even say that story to me is crazy. No real man is gonna be on some, that's dope. That what? Yeah, my lady, we all my mans is gonna gangbang and I'm gonna take on with me late at night and sleep in the bed with her. You know you lost respect for him when he said that. Let's not, come on. This is when I say we playing games. There's nothing cool about that. There's nothing to brag about that. It's nothing. You don't gain nothing out of that. Your man's now just got something over you, and then your woman can always constantly throw that shit in your face. God forbid y'all get in an argument or something, and where you trying to put your foot down, she gonna be on some, nigga, I fucked you with your best friend. Now what? You ain't got no response to that. Now you just gonna look stupid. And then also to allow her, not saying like, yeah, do want to talk this and that, but again, she making it seem like she in a whole bunch of other dudes' faces, though. And the reason why I said that, she said it. It got so bad that people went up to him. Like, yo, what's up? I thought y'all together. You good? Making him look stupid. But you's going to say to validate it, of course, to validate your actions. Yeah, he was fine with it, though. That made me feel good. Turned me on. But let's see what happened, because it's going to be some wild excuse like all her other ones. Pray to God the man's still alive. But we'll see what happened.
But they didn't. I'm going to take a sip of wine. I was raised as an only child. My father was a Rolling Stone, and I am the youngest of 11. But I am my mother's only child, and I was raised in a 2-parent household, just me on my own. I used to wish constantly for a brother and a sister, or a twin. It was around 6 when I figured out the twin thing was not going to happen. But I really wanted a brother or a sister because I was lonely. And I was smack in the middle of a very tumultuous marriage. Some of my earliest memories as a child are of my parents arguing and physically fighting each other. At one point, I was 5 and I got in the middle of my parents physically fighting each other. My mom was holding a glass pitcher above her head and was prepared to smash it on my dad's head. And I want to say that this was in defense of herself. This was her protecting herself. So, needless to say, my first introduction to marriage and how men and women, the expectation of how they interact with each other on a romantic level, was very, 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 very traumatizing. And they didn't do anything to try to correct it. They didn't sit me down and explain things to me or apologize to me. I think that that's something that parents really miss.
I can understand her with that. I respect her saying that because I'm very big with this. I told my wife from the jump, my kids will never see my wife and I argue or disrespect each other or hit each other or just any of that, because it can have a real negative effect on the child, and then it'll affect them trying to find a healthy relationship when they get older, because they're young now, but you got to think long term. They will be grown women one day, and me personally, I would love for my kids to get married, have a family, and do all that. So she is right about that. If you have kids, try your hardest not to get them involved in grown folks situations, and because it's not their place. You want to try to keep them as innocent and young as long as possible, because especially with the way the world is now, it's making our kids grow up way faster than they need to. Way faster than they need to. So by her saying with that, I 100% agree with.
As someone who grew up in a 2-parent household that was very toxic as well, I can relate to what she's saying. I can also say that for me, you still kind of saw what a union was, and you still had the experience of being in a 2-parent household. And I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm sure, I don't know if they were fighting every day, but when they weren't fighting, you saw the goodness of what a marriage could be. Now, for me, growing up in a household where, kind of similar situation, I always looked at it like, well, at least I know what not to do. Like, at least I know what I want my partner to be like. At least I know what I want out of a partner. It was never like, oh, I'm never getting married. It was more like, no, I want companionship, because I never really understood the dynamics of it at the time. I just knew that's not what I wanted. So maybe some people take that and see it as, like an ick. Like, I don't think this is for me. And some people are like me, where it's like, I still want that, but I just know what not to do.
I respect that.
Miss the mark on a lot of the time is that you are not perfect. You are human, and to be a human being is to err. And sometimes you do things to unintentionally harm your children or traumatize them, and they deserve an explanation and they deserve an apology. When my parents were not arguing with each other, they were staying as far away from each other as possible. And what that meant was I was left home alone a lot. So one of the main reasons why my parents never said no to me when I wanted another animal.
Because I can relate to this. And then you have those marriages, like she said, you stay together, and when you're not arguing, you trying to have a competition of who can stay out the house longest, or who gonna sleep in the other bed the longest, or who, like, I don't see. And that's when she is owed an apology. Like, why do parents traumatize their kids that way? Like, if y'all don't love each other, just don't be together. Don't have your child sit and observe this situation that's not healthy.
Yeah, but I go to this though. That was her parents' situation.
Yeah.
She's old enough now, because she's explaining it, to know now what was going on. As a child, it traumatized you because you was confused. You didn't understand. You're a grown woman now. a grown woman now. I love that my mom says you gotta learn how to move on because uh, you as long as you keep holding on to it, it's gonna keep eating at you, and it's gonna affect now your relationship with other people or with other men. And I'm assuming she's bringing this up because she's basically saying that's how it played effect on her relationship with these men. I think that's what she's about to lead up to. But at a certain point, you're grown now. You've seen other situations. You've been through situations. Our parents is not perfect. Like my wife said, she's seen stuff. I seen stuff, but you're older now. That they was young at their time. You use your youngness for your excuse. They was young. Nobody's perfect. But to say they owe her apology, I disagree with. I do disagree with because again, they were young. They went through what they went through. They was what we say all the time. We raising kids and then we realize like, damn, we still learning each other. We still learning ourselves. We still feel young and we still growing up. So that's what made me look at my mom. Probably look maybe look at your parents and be like, well, damn, they was young too. Yeah. Now, me, you know how I feel about my mom. I always tell my mom because my sister could eat. You know, I don't want to bring it up personal stuff, but I always tell my mom, you don't got nothing to apologize for. Yeah. You did the best. You feel like your parents owe you an apology? And where you gonna go if you don't mind sharing? I feel like one thing they do because what you used to tell me. But what do you feel? Or if you want to get too personal.
No, I'm not gonna get too personal. Of course, not with the internet. But I don't think they owe me an apology. I don't think my parents owe me an apology. I just feel like they could have done a lot better at sheltering me from seeing it.
And that's why I'm big. That's why I'm big on that.
Yeah, and that's really all it is because now that I'm older, I know that there are going to be problems, but I think to make it public in front of your children's faces and have them be in your problem is the problem. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think they owe me an apology because one, it taught me what not to do. It taught me what I don't want in a relationship, and then also it was their problem. Like
exactly.
I had nothing but cats and dogs and birds and fish all over the house. I feel like animals saved me. It sounds strange, like I'm like, Mowgli or something from the what's that book called? The Jungle Book? Yeah, Mowgli from the Jungle Book. But yeah, that was my reality. My parents would come home late at night. The animals were the ones that took care of me. Thankfully, I didn't burn down the house. But this left an imprint on my brain as to the way that men and women interact with each other. And it left me with a very serious internalized distrust of men. I think that this is where I developed the disconnect of wanting to create progeny. I just did not feel that urge like other women have to have children. And it is definitely intertwined with what I witnessed from a very early age as to my parents and their dysfunction. I ended up getting an IUD implanted in my uterus. And when I say that sucker was Fort Knox, nothing was getting through that mofo. And it stayed in so long that it ultimately made the decision for me. But yet again, it's not like I felt any source of pressure. Which leads me to the last engagement, when I was approximately 37 years.
And you see how she never explained what happened with the when she was 20 with the dude that allowed her to. That's a little fishy, but yeah, I like how she diverged off that real quick. Went from that to
divergent route
to the she went from that to her parent situation.
Yeah.
So now that's what I'm saying. Something ain't adding up. Something ain't adding up.
Years old, and I'll be honest. I thought that I was in love with this man, but I wasn't. What I was traumatized from an experience that had happened to me on a cruise ship where I was almost raped. And could not be in the room alone with my own shadow. I was so traumatized by what had happened to me that when this man appeared, he was offering safety and security. He was physically huge, but he also came with a very secure lifestyle and a lot of security. And so I felt safe. And that's the only thing I was looking for. I was looking for safety. And so I lied to myself. And it was very easy to do that, to just dive in head first, forget the rocks below. And during the process of this relationship, I started to realize that I was losing myself completely and totally. Friends had started to notice, Mel, you're paying a lot of attention to his career. What are you doing about yours? And I didn't want to hear it. I actually did not want to even hear my own name. I didn't know what it meant to be Melissa Ford anymore. I had no clue. The sound of my own name gave me goosebumps, and not in the best way. I was having...
That was a spirit.
And that's a spirit. And you know another thing? She wasn't the young hot female no more. She's going through another phase in her life. All the attention's not on her no more. She's not in front of the magazines no more. So now it's like she trying to cope with this new lifestyle where she's not getting all that attention. Yeah. And then also, she said it. Just hearing the name is bothering her now. Yeah, 'cause that's really... What was you doing with that name back then to where it bothers you just to hear your name? I don't know.
Having a massive identity crisis. And so when he proposed, he didn't even get the full words out before I said yes. Because I was running from myself. I was running from my truth. I was running from the healing journey that was on the horizon. I was running. And I was trying to put the blinders on. But there was always that internal sense of that steel core of resilience and tenacity inside of me that said, Melissa, this is not your truth. This is not your path. This is not it. And as scary as it was to keep trying to align myself with my internal compass, obviously, you make all these decisions, but it's got to bring you back pointing due north, which leads me to where I am now, 48, child-free, and never been married, and honestly, with zero regrets.
Did you ever decide to freeze your eggs?
Yeah, the freezing eggs conversation came up around mid-30s amongst myself and my girlfriends. It became something that just was a very trendy conversation to have. But if you know anything about freezing eggs, first of all, it's extraordinarily cost prohibitive. I was in the entertainment industry, and this is the way the entertainment industry goes. Feast, famine, feast, famine, feast, famine. Sometimes you're living high on the hog, and other times you are eating Ritz crackers and eating out of cans of tuna. A lot of times it's freelance work. You don't know when your next paycheck is gonna come, and sometimes you will go a whole year without a job, and you are fighting to make ends meet and stretching $10,000 to last over the course of 6 months to a year. So freezing.
And that brings me back to the point with the one proposal that she was talking about with the DV of, at that time, with the feast famine, not every opportunity she could have turned down because you didn't know when your next opportunity was going to come around.
You felt the crack. Yep.
Yeah, so that's
why she stayed with her. Okay.
Right, so that's why for her it was more like career. I got to get it. I'm hot now. I got to keep it going. And I think that's why you're confused when you're like, why don't women try to compromise with their career and relationships? But I think specifically at that time you couldn't do that. Now there's so many multiple streams of income that you have when you're in the limelight that you can make money from if something else doesn't work out. But back then I don't think it was like that.
I truly don't believe her when she says she don't have no regrets. I truly do not believe that. But the reason why she is gonna say that again, because of the way she told these stories, if she would have stayed in one of them, she would have been abused. She said, right? She would have been abused. And then the first guy that everybody loved, she just said she knew it wasn't right, right? So that's another excuse. It wasn't her truth, even though she stayed for a year and a half, 2 years, but it just wasn't her truth. So that's why.
And this last one, it was the same thing. He obviously felt like something was going right to propose, but she was like, I was just running from myself.
And that was her reason for saying, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But she has no regrets. I do not. I actually believe her making this video is showing that she got regrets.
That's what I'm saying.
Right? Because then why, if it's not, what is it? But you calling it hot and bothered.
That's the show's name.
I know, but bothered mean you bothered by something, right?
Or it could be a hot topic.
I don't know. You think she don't have no regrets? I think nobody in this world live with no regrets. Like, come on. We all got regrets or something. You don't think she got no regrets?
I don't know.
And I don't see no cat. I see a dog. So why she referring to her as a cat lady and I see a dog?
What J.D. Vance said.
Yeah.
Your eggs was a luxury. And now what we know about egg freezing is that it's not a guarantee that any one of them is going to be viable, or that even when they're implanted in your uterus that they're going to, that it's going to take. So it really is a crapshoot. And it's also an extraordinarily painful process. When I said that God is not a woman, I mean it, because there is no way that a woman would put us through everything that we have to go through just to manifest our so-called fairy tales, or our fairy tale ending. Mm-hmm. The choices that I ended up not making, pursuit of marriage and kids and that sort of thing, it wouldn't have cost me anything by way of, disapproval of family. My mother was raised Catholic. She was a day girl in a convent. Her parents were from the Eastern European bloc. She lived in Europe until she was 15 years old when her family immigrated to Canada, and her mother died shortly after they had immigrated. My mother was 15, almost 16 years old. And my mother ended up meeting my godmother in the same high school, in the same grade as I met my best friend, but 30 years apart, which is so cute and so funny. And when they met, they're both from the old country, and they've both been raised Catholic. They both said to each other, let's make a pact. If we ever have female children, we're not going to raise them Catholic. There's something about Catholicism that makes women feel like they're second-class citizens. Like they are there for the marriage is a sacrament, and it's a holy sacrament, and you are there to obey your husband without any, consideration as to what you may need, what you may feel, what you may want. And they had seen their mothers and their grandmothers and their aunts live lives that did not belong to them, and they decided that that was not the lives that they were going to give their female children. So my mother had me, and my godmother Renata had a daughter named Laura, and we were not raised religious at all. And to the point where I literally told my mom, I was like, can I go to Catholic school? She was like, no. I really just wanted to go because I liked the uniforms and I didn't want to look for something to wear every single day. But my mother was steadfast that no. Any curiosity that you have with religion, you can go and seek that out on your own. But I'm not going to hold you to, an indoctrination that doesn't really belong to you. You make your own choices. And so when it came to checking boxes, my mom had already decided what my
I don't really want to speak on her deceased mother. Mm-hmm. I think so, but like her mother saying that if you want to explore any religious paths, you should seek that on your own. Your child coming to you and saying, I want to go to Catholic school, that was her opportunity to seek that religion on her own. And if she didn't like it, regardless of if she said, I just wanted to wear the uniforms because I thought they were cute and I didn't want to look for something every morning, that was still an opportunity for her to seek something for herself. Yeah. So it's kind of like a contradiction in a way, because her mother's saying, like, do that on your own. But if I'm coming to you, maybe she meant like when she was older and out of her house. I don't know, I guess. But that just seemed like a contradiction to me.
And again, I think she's just telling another situation to validate where she's at now. And it just bothers me too. Rest in peace her mother. Yeah. But it's just, are women mistreated that badly? Like, for real, it's just because I feel like it's always something like women are mistreated. In a marriage, women are not respected. In a marriage, it's only what husband wants. This and that. That's not true. That's not true. Watch the Chris Rock stand up when he talk about a marriage. Women got all the control most of the time in marriages. I don't know where people are getting this situation from. Women control the kids. Women control the household most of the time. Don't get me wrong, men, got they saying all that. But real good marriages, women are not mistreated. They're not. Yes, some are in some relationship, but some men are mistreated too, even growing up young. Some little boys are mistreated. Some young girls are mistreated. It's not right at all, but it's like she just coming up with excuses to me to validate all her points to why she where she at now. And I don't know.
I think you misunderstood it wrong. Oh. And I don't even want to mispronounce it right. But when in certain religions, like Muslim or Islam or like Catholicism, I think that's what she calls it, the women are kind of looked at as beneath the husband. And I think that's what the mother was trying to avoid. There are certain religions where the woman cannot speak without their husband. Like, there are plenty of patients that I had, and they're like, you're asking the lady and the man is answering, and you like, hold on, I'm talking to her, but they cannot speak without their husband speaking for them.
And now I got a question. So who are we to judge that their relationship is wrong? Is something wrong with that?
Well, we ain't.
But now I'm saying, so she's saying she's beneath it. Why can't that just be her respect? That's her way of respecting her husband.
I mean, yeah.
If she's fine with it.
Right. Yeah, no, there are some people who are fine with it, but her mom was not fine with it. And that's why she said, when I have a daughter, I will not raise her in this religion. You do have some women that is all they know, that is all they grew up on. And so it's just another day in a life. But then you have some women who are like, no, this is not it. There's something wrong and want to get out of it. So I think she was talking in terms of that, in terms of religion.
I also feel like people need to stop assuming what their relationship is going to be like based on other people's relationships. Everybody's relationship is different. There's not one perfect relationship. It's like I said, it's not one perfect relationship. And for you to be looking at other people's relationships or other people's religions, to me, I don't think that's a fair way to go to find a true relationship for yourself. I never compared my relationship to someone else's. I never did. Because at the end of the day, the individuals are different compared to those other individuals in those relationships or that religion.
Yeah, but it's a religion thing though.
Yeah, it's a religion thing, but everybody don't live exactly by that religion, even if they're following it. All Christians are not the same. All Muslims are not the same. Some Muslim men believe in having multiple wives. Some Muslim men do not believe in having multiple wives at all. Some Christian men believe certain things. Some Christian men don't. Every relationship is not the same. We can't just take one religion and then now make it seem like everybody is just like that that's Catholic. No, yeah. Or everybody's like that that's Jewish.
Yeah, but everybody who takes it serious.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you got to be the one to take 100 all the way serious. Yeah. She's acting because now we're going to go based off the whole following Catholic, this and that, following Christianity, following any religion. So you're going to follow that. So you telling me you're going to be 100% with everything else the Bible says? No. You should be, but you're not. You're not. That's why people are allowed to sin. Nobody's perfect. Yeah. But my thing is, don't take this one little piece of the Bible and act like you about to follow everything, but you know damn well you're not following everything else. Because technically, if that's the case, your mother raised you to not be like that. The Bible, Catholics, Christianity, all them religions you shouldn't be in a magazine flaunting your body.
Well, her mom didn't raise her to be.
No, I know. I'm just saying. But if she kind of knew that, then if that's how her mother raised her.
Well, her mother didn't raise her religious.
No, I know. Oh, that's why she ended up doing it. Oh, okay,
Right.
okay,
Her
got you.
mother didn't raise her religious because her mother.
Oh, my bad.
felt
So
like
that's why I
it
can.
was- Yeah, her mother felt like it was wrong, so her
Yeah.
mother did not raise her to be religious at all, which is why her mother was okay with what she
Yeah, I
did.
forgot. That's why. So
Yeah.
all right, so it can make sense why she ended up doing it. But ain't nothing holy about that.
Yeah.
But I understand she wasn't raised in the church.
No.
Daughter's life is for her to live. And I'm lucky in that way. Very, very lucky in that way. My mom gave me suggestions and she made observations, but they were always so subtle. And she always knew that I was going to do whatever I wanted to do, however I wanted to do it. And that was the end of the story. I was a very strong-willed child, strong-willed teenager, strong-willed young lady, strong-willed adult woman. So I was never subject to those checked boxes, but I found myself in conversation.
I feel like her mother failed her in that aspect because, like she just said, my mother gave me the free will to do whatever I wanted, and it made me turn out to be a strong-headed woman, a strong-headed young lady, a strong-headed this, a strong-headed that. The Bible says, train a child in the way they shall go and they shall not depart. If you're not training your child, like if you're just free ropes in it, like, oh, boom, do whatever you want, and then you're gonna be like, yeah, that's my child. That's you know how you have a child like her, so you'd be like, no, she's just bad. That's just who she is. You're a parent.
Yeah, exactly.
Train her or correct her when you see she's not doing something right. You don't just be like, oh, well, that's how she is. Well, that's how she is. That's not how you parent. So I feel like I don't want to talk about her mom because like rest in peace to her mother, but just for mothers in general, I feel like that to me doesn't sound wise.
Yeah. And that's why you have nowadays a lot of these kids very disrespectful. Don't know what to do with themselves because the parents are not
allowing the child to raise their self.
They lay on the iPads to raise them.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be like that. The parents should be parenting. It shouldn't be the child is being raised by the iPad. The child is being raised by the world. The child is being raised by what they want to do. And then they're going to take it now like she is at 48 and being like, I was always strong-headed. No, because your mother never scolded you or corrected you or put you where you needed to be. So you felt like you had free will and a strong reign over your life. And I mean, you turned out like that.
Nowadays, parenting ain't parenting. That's what we supposed to do. Teach our kids. We supposed to. That's one thing I learned about being a father and being a parent. You could really mold these kids the way you want them to. Mm-hmm. You could really mold these kids. And that's why it's scary out here because some of these people having kids or these parents trusting their kids around these random people, which don't make sense to me. Neither these sad stories I hear. It's just, what are we doing? Kids, like Whitney Houston say in that song, like, you got to protect these kids' innocence. Kids are innocent. Protect their innocence. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you got these evil people that's molding these kids and they know it's not right for them. Mm-hmm. Putting these negative things in their head, putting these harmful things in their head that's going to mess with the way they see the world. Yeah. You know? So
over the years with many, many women that felt that pressure. And when it comes to those checked boxes, I'm not sure if the vast majority of us go looking for these as factors in why we choose somebody. I think a lot of the times, as long as he's a good provider, that's the biggest check mark. Does he look good? Is he presentable? Do we have some things in common? Does he plan on being a good provider? Do we both want kids? Do we both want to get married? These are the things that people ask themselves, and this is what helps them make their decision. But they find out years into the marriage that it takes so much more to make a marriage successful than just those things. One of the main things that I think is missing from a lot of people deciding on getting married is how much of a friendship have you built with this person? Because like outlasts love 1,000% of the time. Through the course of my career and just...
But you know what outlasts all of those? Respect. Respect outlasts every single one of those. No, for respect.
But you gotta like the person and respect them.
No, you don't. No,
No,
you don't.
no.
You can respect people
No.
you don't like. Yes,
I
you.
mean,
yeah,
yeah,
no,
but
that
it-
ain't
but
no
it-
mean.
no,
That's
no, 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 no.
100%.
But when it
You
comes
hear this
to
saying all the time. You don't have to like me, but you will respect me.
No, but like
It's
when
like working in a public, in a professional manner. Everybody don't like
all
each
right,
other.
but we're not talking about professional. We're talking about in a relationship.
Even in no,
In
I'm
a
saying no.
relationship.
But she's saying that goes past that. Like saying if we didn't work out, but like say for instance, like God forbid we didn't work out, but if we still have respect for each other, I bet you we have an amazing co-parenting situation for our kids.
Yeah, because I would still like
because
you.
but we will still respect each other.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
If you like me or pretend to like me, you like me, but you didn't respect me, that means you'll talk bad in front of the kids. You'll talk bad about me in front of the kids, to your parents. You'll start trying to manipulate everybody else on that, now how they look at me and view me because you don't respect me anymore. If you respect me, you would never second guess any of that.
Yeah.
Respect is the number one thing.
But I feel like in a relationship, respect is built off like I have to like it can't just be like, oh, I met you and I respect you. Like ain't no way I gotta get to know you. There has to be some type of friendship, some type of some root for me to be like, nah, I respect him. Like
yeah, but at the end of the
it's
day,
not like a typical stranger I see walking past. If they drop their phone, I'm gonna pick up like, or if they open a door for me, I'm gonna say thank you. It's not the same. I feel like in a relationship, like you could do some nasty things in a relationship, and I would just lose all respect for you.
that mean you ain't gonna like me no more. Respect is the number one thing, babe. Come on.
No,
Yes, it is.
Hold
on.
I feel like you gotta like.
Hold on.
somebody.
Listen, Pete, I said respect leads because you just said it. This is it. This ends it. If I disrespect you, it's gonna lead to you not liking me anymore. You could say to me, yo, I don't like you no more, but because I respect you, I'm not gonna do certain things to harm you or to make you look bad. It's respect, babe. It's respect. Respect is a very important thing in relationship. But people stay in relationships that don't respect each other.
Just life in general. I have spoken to so many successfully married couples, and success means that they still like each other decades later. That's success. They still wake up and want to participate in this partnership. That is success. And that's what they say, that like is more substantial than love.
No, it's not. She pissing me off now. No, she's not. No, it's not. It's not like, it's respect. Relationships are built off respect for one another. That's what it is. Because if you respect somebody, that means you won't do anything to make them look bad or to harm the relationship. It's not has nothing to do with like love. I would say love before like. I would definitely say love before like. Cause who the hell gonna love somebody they don't like anyway? Everybody I love, I like.
Like I don't like you right now, but you like you're lucky.
Yeah, because that's probably some TikTok, Instagram, just viral thing. If you don't have love and respect in a relationship, those two things, that like thing, I don't know what she talking about. If you don't have love and respect, because I tell you right now, if my wife and I woke up tomorrow morning and started disrespecting each other, this relationship will not last. And it's going to have a bad effect on our kids. Love and respect. Love is what keeps people together. Again, I go back. My wife, and I'm surprised with you a little bit with this. And I think, hold on, because there's a lot of things you don't like that I do. And there's some things I don't like. Hey, so stop. But we're together because we still respect and love each other. Babe, hold on. The love outweighs all that bullshit about liking. Babe, you know damn well ain't none we talk about, oh, I like this. It's a whole bunch of love between us and the respect that we show between each other through our actions. Yeah, but that like shit is some kiddie shit. That's what she's saying. That's not true what she's saying. Babe, come on, babe. No,
I'm not disagreeing, but I understand. Like, I love you, but there are
all right. Let's go into
but I still love you.
So you proving my point. So the love outweighs all of that, and the respect outweighs all of that. You don't like the fact I take my socks and leave on the side of the bed. You still love me though. You still love me. This I don't want to go down the list because that's our personal business. But come on, she really said I like the person out love. No. Respect and love is what makes a strong foundation relationship. This like she talking about. I don't know what she talking about. I don't know what couple she talking about.
Maybe she's talking about just friendship.
But we still have friendship between the love and respect that we have between each other.
Okay.
Like,
because there's plenty of times you be like, you're not my best friend no more.
Yeah, as a joke.
No,
but we don't really. Yeah, but we don't really mean it. But again, I'm still in bed with you. We still in bed with each other because we love and respect each other. Because I still love you. The love I have for you outweighs anything
so
that.
So you would still love me if we weren't friends? Like, what if I said there has to
be
be a
we're gonna be friends regardless because the love and respect we have for each other. Yes, we are.
Because you could be in a relationship and be like, there has to be boundaries. There's certain things I can't talk to you about.
Listen, in the beginning,
but I love you.
Listen, in the beginning relationship, yes, cool, yes, you gotta like the person, all that. But decades down the line, now it's more love and respect. All that like shit, that don't because in the beginning, yeah, you like stuff, but as you deal with a person long in life, you start noticing a lot of flaws, and then it be new flaws you don't like, and then there's gonna be more new flaws you don't like. That you don't like, but because you love and respect the person, you don't want to break that up because of some light shit. Get out of here.
And looking back on my relationships, I realized that like was not high on my list of priorities. And that's probably the reason for failures. So before I sign off, I saw something on Instagram that I wanted to read today. It says, marriage is the lowest paid form of sex work. Women are owed reparations. The people we lay with are the people who are most likely to kill us. Which sounds really dark, but that's the reality we're living in.
What?
The reality is women have lost their lives in pursuit of men. Women have lost their futures in pursuit of love. I think we all need to really sit down and ask ourselves as individuals, what does love actually mean for me? And what in my life resembles that? Does the man that I've chosen resemble that love that I want and deserve? The traditional idea of love is damaging for women because it involves us being self-sacrificial in order to prove our worth. Men need to learn to find sustenance, entertainment, and sexual gratification outside of women because we don't owe men that. We live in a society where men assign women humanity and worth based on how attractive they are to them. Men need to learn to find sustenance, entertainment, and sexual gratification outside of women because we don't owe men that deserved a repeat. Thank you so much for joining me on this very personal episode. But what I want to leave you guys with is I want every woman listening to this to understand that you have and you should exercise all of your choices. The way that things are going, Roe v. Wade being overturned.
I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. And it's sad. That's why they say single people keep single people single. The fact that she viewed men that way through that little passage that she just gave is really sad. It's really sad. And to go to the sentence you said twice. So when you're married, where is a man supposed to go? For that satisfaction. Yeah, but still, that is in general. So like as a man, but still, and even as in the so where women supposed to go when they want to be satisfied? Because women love to be satisfied too. They go to men, or if you into other things.
No, she's basically saying if I want to be satisfied, I'll come to you. But if you want to be satisfied, you should go find that somewhere else if I don't feel like it.
But
that's what she's saying.
But
it's not right.
That's
but
selfish.
That's yeah,
and that's sad. And see, I want to go like word for word for this bullshit.
When women want to be men, and not just kind of
marriage. Like she said, marriage is the lowest paid form of sex work. To me, that's disrespectful and totally false. Marriage is the lowest paid form of sex work. Why can't it just be two individuals that love each other and have passionate sex between one another? And that's it. Who's getting? Go
We're
ahead.
gonna have a debate
Go ahead.
because there aren't always times when both of us want to have sex.
Okay.
And so I think it's more of like it's the lowest paid of form of sex work because there's times where I want to have sex, you don't want to have sex, vice versa. But you still have to give into it because that's my partner and I'm supposed to please you, right? Because if I don't, you can always make the excuse and be like, you're not gonna give it to me. I could go outside and get it from somewhere else, and vice versa. So I think that's what that sentence means per se. You could disagree with me, but that's how I take it.
A sex worker is somebody that get paid with cash. I'm not giving you cash after we have sex. You're not giving me cash when we have sex. To prepare a sex between two couples to a sex worker,
That's why she said lowest
it's
paid.
to no, but it's not it's not compared to at all. Sex workers provide sex to multiple people for exchange of cash. Sex between two people that's married is something that both of them enjoy out of one another.
Yeah, but like I said, there are times.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I don't want to sometimes. You don't want sometimes. And we don't always give in to the other person. That's not true neither.
No, I know it's not, but.
Oh, so that's not true. And then women are owed reparations. I don't know why she's saying that. Men should be owed reparations. Then black men should be owed. Black men should definitely be owed reparations. We all need reparations. Then Jews, well, they got reparations. Then it's like everybody need reparations. It just seemed like she played this whole the whole feminist just blame game.
Very feminist, yeah.
And this is again, she's just throwing out negative stuff. The people we lay with are the people who are most likely to kill us, which sound really dark, but that's reality. Yes, there's stories like that, but there's plenty of stories too where the people we lay with are the ones who are most likely to be vulnerable with us. The people we lay with are most likely the ones that we can, when we had a long day, we could discuss that with one another. Mm-hmm. The people we lay with are the ones that we could wake up and have breakfast with one another. Mm-hmm. The people we lay with that night could also be the ones that get married to one another and have beautiful kids with one another and raise those kids. Yeah. See, that's the problem. Go watch movies like, maybe you need to go watch movies like Father the Bride or something that's like happy, cheaper by the dozen. Meet the Parents, there's still happy families out there. For some reason, she has this dark reality, this dark mind on what relationships are, and by her doing that, it validates the decisions that she made, and that's what makes her right with herself. But I guarantee you, 30, 40 down the line, she ain't gonna be thinking this way. She's not. This is just all a defense mechanism to make herself feel good, because this is not all relationships, all this right here. And then what's the next part? The reality is women have lost their lives in the pursuit of men. How women lose their lives in the pursuit of men? What about men losing their lives in the pursuit of women? Men lose a lot when it comes to women, especially if they're dealing with the wrong one. You look at the divorce, most of the time the women get everything. Men don't lose nothing, but women lose things by pursuing men. Most of the time the man is pursuing the women anyway. So what are we talking about? Y'all the ones that allow us to have intercourse with y'all. So again, where's the accountability? Not for real.
No, I'm not gonna say anything about that line. But when it comes to women have lost their futures in pursuit of love, that's definitely true. Because there are many situations where women lose their identities to help further y'all career. But then when it's our turn to be on the end of the spectrum, y'all kind of like, well, you got kids to raise. Well, you got to do this. Well, you got to do that. So I kind of support with that line. But the reality...
But that says women have lost their futures in the pursuit of love.
Yeah, because I love you. I'm willing to take the back seat right now to support you and help you propel your career so we can be bigger, because I believe in you. Because I love you. Because I love you, I want to have children, and I don't mind staying home with the kids while you get the money. But I'm still losing a sense of my future, of myself.
All right, and this one I go back to. So you being a mother, that's not part of your identity?
Oh, we have this discussion all the time.
Hold on. Is that part of your identity?
Yes.
But all right, stop. Is you being a wife part of your identity?
Yes, but that is not all you want to be known
I'm not saying that's all you want to be known, but it's still part of your identity.
Right, but it says...
So would you exchange all lists that we have now for your successful career and what you want to do?
No, because I would want both.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly. Women be it's making it seem like this whole career thing is really something y'all really want. And that's what get me mad. Like, y'all really act like y'all really want these so-called careers and then complain about going to work. And you right here, damn sure, you
can talk.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem going
What's
to work.
the next thing? I think we all need to really sit down and ask ourselves as individuals, what does love actually mean for me, and what in my life resembles that? Does the man that I've chosen resemble that love that I want and deserve? Yeah, go ahead. What does it mean? What does it mean for you? Is this love? Which are you getting that? I don't even understand what she was saying.
I think we all need to really sit down and ask ourselves as individuals, what does love actually mean for me, and in what life resembles that? Does the man that I've chosen resemble that love that I want and deserve? Yeah, what's wrong with that? She's basically saying just sit down and think about what you really want. And is this the type of love you want? Do you want to love a man, or do you want to love a dog, a donkey, a cat? What do you what do you want? And if you do have a man, is the man giving you everything you thought love would be?
Yeah, I'm not even gonna read through this no more. I already see. It's just and this is sad because she's just putting this light on men are like terrible, are just the worst things ever. When men actually built this world, women played a major role too. But you never hear men downplaying women. But it seemed like it's so cool and so fine to downplay men. Like we play no role in the households. Like all of us are just bad individuals, especially black men, and it's really sad because if she does get a whole bunch of females to feel this way mentally in their head and never trust men, then this world is going to end and it's going to be over. And then what? Then what?
It's going to end either way.
See, the thing that I respect about back in the day, they thought about the future. They thought about continuing legacies, this and that. We at a point now where it's like it don't matter. Who cares about the future? That's why the education don't matter no more to these kids. Because nobody's thinking about the future. They just thinking about now. That's why they keep raising the debt ceiling. Because they're just thinking about now. They're not thinking about how it's gonna affect America in the long term. It's just everybody's just about now. That's it. And this is to me, it's sad that she think this way. And at 48 years old, you work with a panel of men that have kids. You telling me those men not good men? Yes, they probably made their mistakes in the past, but you work with these men every day. They not good men you around. And if you to say some shit like that, it's just it's crazy to me. And I'm surprised now you even work with them. I'm surprised you even work with them. For you be able to trust men like that.
Well, she's not in a relationship with them.
She's not, but she's still around them.
But they're just friends.
No, but she's still around them. Clearly, this is how she feel about men. I don't know. It's nasty.
Nasty work.
Nah, it's just I see why she's single, but I respect the fact she gave her story. To women, if you do want to be in a relationship, don't follow this advice. That's all I'm gonna say. Don't believe all men are like this. Do not, cause it's far from the truth. Far from the truth. Any last word?
No.
Sure.
Yes.
You don't want to defend her?
No, I don't want to defend her.
All right, well, if you got this far, thanks for rocking with us. Let us know how you feel. Is this the right way to go? Is this the right mindset to have if you want a relationship? But appreciate you rocking with us. We catch y'all next time. Peace.